Welcome viewers to another installment of Scottish Watches Unboxed. This time we'll be seeing the unboxing of the Zodiac Aerospace GMT limited edition from our friend Greg at Right Wrist Only. Enjoy!
This is the Zodiac Aerospace GMT. So like my Speedmaster review, this is an unboxing, but long after I've owned the watch. I wanted you to see how it's going to look when you order one of these, what you're going to get with it, and then I'll do a review of this watch as I've had it for some time. So direct from Zodiac, you get your shipment, crack that sucker open. Inside, some light packaging, and then there's your watch. Just paper outer casing, shipping casing, and then watch box inside. Paper, limited edition, you can see there embossed Zodiac logo. You see that there. Nothing fancy. Another box. So we've got a box and a box and a box and a box at this point. Inside this one here, we can see there's a little drawer. In that drawer, we've got a Zodiac Aerospace paperwork, how to use your GMT, and then the standard Zodiac booklet on essentially how to use all of their watches. And my hang tag. Okay, so here's our watch. Comes with this nice little world map showing you all the time zones. It's more of a microfiber cloth for cleaning than anything else. And our watch. So this is the Aerospace GMT. It is a watch that was released a little over a year ago at this point. It was released when Baselworld was still the thing. And was kind of a hit of the show. This is the Golf colorway. That's not an official name from Zodiac. That's just what people have started calling it because of the colors, the same as the golf racing team. They made two different variants at the launch of this. They made one in this variant, and they made one in the vintage colors, which the original Zodiac Aerospace GMT came in, or one of the colorways, the original came in, which was this dark gray and a dark blue colorway. And, you know, they've come out with a few more since then. Hodinkee had a limited edition, and there's like a green or a seafoam and kind of a purple. And then they just released one that is essentially this, but they taken the blue and they turned it to white. So this is on a Jubilee bracelet, which I'll explain in a minute. So what we're looking at here is a collar GMT, which means that the GMT hand moves independently from the time, but the hour hand of the time does not move independently from the GMT. So when you set this, the idea is that you're setting it to show you the time zone in a place that you might be calling, right? And so you see that little orange hand there, that's your GMT hand. And you'll set that to wherever it is that you're going to call. Now, this bezel here is a rotating bezel, so you get 24 clicks in bidirectional fashion. And it's bidirectional because it's a GMT and not a dive watch. A lot of dive watch companies, well, Zodiac's not a dive watch company, but their primary product is a dive watch. A lot of dive watch companies will just slap a GMT insert into their dive watch. And that's not far off from what Zodiac has done, but they've actually made a bi-directional 24-click bezel, which means that they've put the extra effort in, which makes a big difference in how this watch feels. Looking at the face of the watch, you could see Zodiac Aerospace GMT, and then at the bottom there, automatic. That's all printed onto the dial. You can see that it has applied indices. They are high polish indices with a little tiny bit of lume applied to around the edges. So that little green speck around the edges there is luminous. The hands are luminous, all of them, including the GMT hand. You'll see that paddle second hand moving around there. I really like that. It's a great little look, little vintage style look there. So you can see the indices each have a luminous indicator above them, right along the edge of the dial. All of the hands, I guess this isn't a great time to show you, but you can see the second hand moving, the hour hand, the minute hand, and then directly next to our hour hand right now, much more dim, you can see that GMT hand. On top of that, you can see the midnight or 24-hour position on the bezel. And so if we rotate that bezel a little bit here, you can see that that indicator moves with that rotation. It's not a great amount of lume. It's not a dive watch. It's a GMT watch, and so it doesn't have just gobs of lume, but it's got just enough to see it in maybe a dark hotel room or late at night. Looking at the rest of the watch, the case is pretty slim. It is vertically brushed, so it might be difficult to see that as a light vertical brushing, but you can see the difference between the polish on the beveling and the brushing. It's got a signed crown, unguarded, which again makes sense because this is not a dive watch, it is a GMT watch. The other side is completely, it's just brushed. And the movement of this bezel, by the way, is perfect. It's just difficult enough to turn that you won't accidentally turn it, but not so hard that you're really struggling to move this piece around. So those lugs that I was speaking about a moment ago, they kind of taper down. This is a really comfortable size. This is a 40 millimeter watch. So I mentioned that this is based on the dive watch that they make. So the Seawolf, or the Super Seawolf, or the Super Seawolf Compression 53, depending on which one you're looking at, they're all essentially the same watch with different handsets, dials, and bezel inserts. They use this same case here. So this same case, this same bezel style, same set of hands most of the time, but again, they have different hands depending on the model that you're picking up. It's a great size case. It's a very comfortable case, and they just slapped a GMT movement inside this case. Now, Zodiac is owned by Fossil. Fossil also owns STP, and they are a movement company, a Swiss movement company. They make some great movements for Fossil, and I believe they also sell them outside of the group. And those STP movements, including their chronometer grade movements, are what go into the Seawolf version of the Seawolf line of their watches. This watch does not have an STP movement, and it doesn't, I assume because they probably don't make a GMT movement, which I wish they would, because they do a really good job, especially even though you can't see the finishing on their movements, they do a really great job finishing their movements. They blue screws, they have swan neck regulators. This watch has an ETA 2893-2 in it. So a great movement, but it's that collar GMT movement. It's not a true GMT in the way that you would get with a GMT Master or something like that. Or even some of the better Omegas, or I believe Grand Seiko makes those true GMTs as well. Given that, I think that what they had to do here is, this is not the normal case back that you would see on the Seawolf. I think it's domed a little bit more. You see that like outward dome. Normally this has a relief cut into it with the Zodiac logo. This one, very smooth, and I think it's just a little thicker. I think this watch ends up being just a smidge thicker than their Seawolves because of that ETA movement. But it doesn't change how comfortable the watch is. So on the back, while we're talking about it, 200 meter water resistance, 660 feet, Zodiac, limited edition, well, LE it says, limited edition. This one happens to be 106 out of 182. They made 182 of each color variant. I believe they did the same with the Hodinkee version, and the new one that they're just coming out with, Zodiac has with a lot of their watches, put out limited editions. I really like that, actually. I like knowing that there's only X number of this watch out there, and that it's not likely to be seen on somebody else's wrist. So this watch is on a Jubilee style bracelet. I say Jubilee style. Rolex is going after anybody that calls them Jubilee. Strapcode got in trouble for that recently, had to change it. This is not what the watch ships on. I bought this separately from Zodiac because I know that I've tried it on the Seawolves that have this, and I really liked it. It's super comfortable, incredibly flexible, it just kind of folds in on itself. This one happens to be high polish center links, brushed outer links, and then high polish on the edges. Butterfly clasp, so that's how it closes. So Zodiac shipped this on this bracelet, which is an oyster style bracelet, high polished center links, seems to be a theme among GMT watches, brushed outer links, high polish on the edges. It's a nice bracelet. Flip lock clasp. It's milled, so it's done really well. It's all stainless steel. It's got plenty of micro adjustments. It's a nice bracelet, but there was just something about it. It really didn't suit the watch to me, and it wasn't as comfortable as I had tried on this other bracelet. And so what it does have, which actually both of them have in a different style, but is this party trick, which is it has spring-loaded end links. So this link here and that link there are spring-loaded. If you watch it, you see it stretch there. Both sides do this. There it goes. So this is a super comfortable bracelet in that respect compared to other oyster bracelets. The Jubilee, the way they accomplish this is it's built into this butterfly. So if you look here on the left and the right of the center, you see that stretch. It's not as much as they give you on the oyster style, but it is enough to make it very comfortable. It's a big difference between a lot of other bracelets, and I love it. It's one of the reasons that I love this watch, is that it's just incredibly comfortable. Let's take a look at the functions. So, screw down crown, that's part of that 200 meter water resistance. And again, this is same as the Seawolf that they put out. So one click out, and that gives you GMT hand movement. See that? 1 hour at a time. And that's rotating up, rotating that one click down. You get your date set. All the way out. Hacking. And then also this is your set, obviously. And then we'll see here the date change. So it went over about 5 minutes. I mean, it looked instantaneous because I'm moving the hands quickly, but it's about a 5 minute date change. That's pretty good. I like that. And then so if I were to set this to noon, and I wanted to set the GMT hand to noon, there you go. Now, you don't need to worry about getting this GMT hand perfectly on the exact time it is. So you don't have to set it at noon and then move the GMT hand. It will snap into place. So if you've got this, if it's at 45, right? So say it's 12:45, and you rotate this around, that GMT hand will snap into place at 12:45. You don't have to worry about those tiny micro adjustments. This is also a hand winding watch. So it's an automatic, but you can hand wind it, and that's great. And then push down, screw down. Maybe the one thing about this watch that I would say they could improve is they could make this crown just a bit bigger and maybe give that threading a little more bite. That way you could feel that it's screwed down securely. So as far as using the GMT function goes, if I wanted to set this to California time and I live on the East Coast in the US, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and rotate it 3 clicks forward. And the reason I'm doing that is they are 3 hours behind us. And so you can see, although it is noon on the East Coast here, it is 9 a.m. in California. And the color differentiation here is it's supposed to be able to tell you, okay, this is night, this is day. Now, if it was, 6 a.m., I mean, this is variable based on the time of year. So in the winter, sun's not going to be up. So this isn't really a good measure of when the sun is up and down. But 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. essentially. There you go. So as far as dimensions go on this watch, this is 40 millimeters across. It is 13.5 millimeters thick, and then it's around 48 millimeters lug to lug with a lug width of 20 millimeters. The watch originally retailed for $1,695 plus tax and shipping and all that. And then they immediately went for much more on the resale market. I saw these going for up to around $3,000, which is pretty outrageous. I would say it's worth the $1,700. It's not worth spending $3,000 on it to me. I mean, if you're really, really into the watch and you want one, they're limited. Zodiac's going to keep putting these out. If you just give it some time, every year they'll put out some more. I mean, they've done 4 models so far within essentially a year and a few months. They're going to keep putting these out. They need to make money. And since they're only making 182 of them at a time, they're going to keep putting them out. So you'll get some different color variants, but outside of that, they're all pretty much the same watch. And maybe you'll get lucky and they'll develop an in-house GMT movement and you'll get an STP movement in there instead of just the ETA. So here is a wrist shot of that Aerospace GMT. The 200 meters of water resistance just really gives you a little more comfort. This is, in the sports watch world, it's something that you can take to the lake or to the ocean and not really worry about it. You don't have to leave it on the beach and worry about if somebody's going to pick it up or if it's going to get lost in the sand, whatever. You keep it on you all the time. It can take a minor beating. It's not, a super, super tough watch, but it can definitely take a licking. And you really don't have to worry about it. I mean, for a travel watch, you'd be hard-pressed to find something available that's better in this price range. I've taken this all over the world with me, and I love it. It's comfortable. It's not something that's really obvious that someone might want to rob you for, so you don't really have to worry about that. It's nice enough for most occasions. There's very little negative that can be said about this guy. And it is just super comfortable. And that stretch on the bracelet makes it even more comfortable. One last thing on this, both bracelets have pin and collar systems. And essentially what that means is in order to size this watch, you'll need a tool, right? You can go to a jeweler and they can take care of this for you. And that honestly might be the best way to do it. But you'll need a tool to size it. When you go to size it, a lot of watches, especially more affordable ones, have a friction fit pin that holds in the links by friction. It's 2 pieces of metal that push against each other. This one has a collar that has a ring set in it, and the pin slips into that collar, and that's where the friction comes from. They're really, really difficult to get out on the Zodiacs. On both of these bracelets, on this oyster style bracelet and on the Jubilee, it was really difficult to resize these. I think they could do one better. Even if they bring it up to $2,000 for these watches and they put screw links in, it would make this infinitely better. But something to be aware of if you're looking to pick this watch up. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about STP and the difference between that and having an ETA movement. If you think it's worth maybe an upcharge, if they add $500 to it, whatever. And let me know what you think about the limited edition release process for Zodiac watches. I love it. Maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments. I'll throw some stats on the watch right here. Thanks for watching.